Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on video number 7 of my life. Today we're tearing down this Pavilion, HP Pavilion P6000 series. Supposed to have an AMD Phenom 2 820 quad-core processor in it with 6 gig of RAM, a 1 terabyte hard drive, and ATI Radeon HD 4200 integrated graphics card. Supposed to have a multi-DVD burner, and as you can see there, Windows 7. So let's give a quick tour of this, and then we'll tear it apart. Okay, here we are for the tour. There you can see the multi-card reader at the top. There's the top CD-ROM drive bay. There's the expansion bay, it says, but maybe there's something in there, maybe not. I believe this shows us audio and USB ports. Well, microphone and audio, and then 2 USB. The bottom here, we can see it is a HP or a AMD Vision. I guess that was for the video card and a Windows 7. We come around this side. This will be the cover side where that comes off. Let's look at the back here. Power supply at the top. There's serial number. Yeah, Hewlett-Packard. Expansion bays. There's our 6 audio ports. There's Ethernet, 4 USB, 2 video ports, VGA and DVI, as you can see clearly labeled there, and an RCA plug. You know, that is interesting because I believe a lot of these had problems with that plug. Oh, there's a wireless card in there, so it did have Wi-Fi. But something about these models, if I recall, if they had an RCA plug on them, they were not very reliable. For some reason, I remember that. Here's the other specs of it: serial number, product number, model, everything like that. Pavilion Magnesium Grey Edition. Wow. There's all the specs, everything else I just pointed out, and Windows 7 right there on the side of it. And then we're back to the front again. So there's our tour. Let's open it up. Okay. So if you recall from my other HP video, Hewlett-Packard used those torque bit screws in it. So we'll have to get that driver out, I believe. But this is already off on the cover. So let's pull the cover off. And here's our first look. Looks clean. So let's show you a close-up. Yes, very clean. Maybe a little bit of dust in the fan, but overall, it looks really good. We can see there is only one DVD CD-ROM drive in it. See if it is the burner as specified on the side. Let's get this front cover off first. Not very dirty at all. We can now see the front CD-ROM drive there. I think you can see that it is a light scribe. Light scribe is what allowed you to do an image on the cover of the CD or DVD of your own liking. They had software that would let you create your own cover, and it would etch into the cover. You required special discs to allow the light scribing on them. I believe that's why it never really took off, because you could just write on it with a Sharpie, for crying out loud. But there's the front. Inside, we have this. Here's the tab here to get that CD-ROM drive out. You move it to the side, and then once we remove power here, I believe it'll slide right out. Well, now I got to move it to the middle here, I guess. There we go. See if there's a disc in there. Nope, no disc. Well, let's look at it. It does say HP, August of 2010. Okay, so it's only 15 years old. That's relatively new compared to the other ones we had. And it is a, like we said, a DVD right there. See, DVD, CD, read-writable drive. So there you go. Now the rest of this, now that's interesting how stock the power supply was not filling the entire requirement for the motherboard. That's interesting. I wonder if it was a replacement power supply. No, it does not seem completely in there, so maybe it was a replacement. Nice Molex connectors here. That's kind of handy. These are handy as well. These do come in handy. Not so much anymore nowadays, but the old days, these were really valuable. When things were going from Molex to SATA, you got a new drive, it would be a SATA drive, but your power supply only had Molex. So I do have a box of these. So now I got another one. All right, let's see here. Okay, power supply is disconnected. Now let's see. Is there any screws holding that in? No. There are no screws holding this power supply in. So it should come out. I bet it may have, yes. Just like if you watched the previous video, there's a little tab. So Dell and HP did this. If you push this down, then it will allow you to push the power supply forward because it's kind of stuck in there until you push that down a little bit. There you go. Power supply comes right out. This tells me I bet we replaced this power supply or put this one in there just for testing purposes, possibly. There you can see the information on the power supply, a Best Tech power supply, 250 watt max. I don't see much else on there, like a date or anything, but this may not be the original. Okay, now let's see about these cables. Get those somewhat out of the way. Get these disconnected. These are the SATA ports. And they do have little locking clasps on them. Make them a little difficult to pull out, but we got them. Let's get it off hard drive here as well. There we go with that. And there we go. Now this processor fan, you can see it just has a lever here that makes it pretty easy. You just pop that forward and it should release this end of the processor, and look at that. And then we just have a fan. So yeah, this side of it clipped on. This side went down and clipped on, and then you pull this forward to really tighten it up. And look, the processor came right out with it. And that might, oh, there it goes. So there's our AMD Phenom processor. Yep, now you can see it better. Phenom 2. Look at that. And fan and heatsink. Now there are screws in there. We'll get those out in a minute. All right, let's get the RAM out. Well, they did not fly out at all. See, 4 gig, 4 gig, 2 gig, 2 gig. Look at that. So 8 and 4 is 12. 12 gig of RAM. Now, it said it originally had 6 when we looked at the side of it there. They can get a closer look at the RAM that's in here. They are matching. They're all 10600U. The U is significant. You would not be able to put just regular 10600 RAM in here. It would not work. And it's also interesting how the speed after it, the 91080, is the same on all of them. Even though they're different manufacturers, these are Hynix, these are Elpida, as you can see, but they all have that same speed on them, which is interesting. So, but yes, 8, 12 gig of RAM total, 12 gig of RAM total, very interesting. So they did have an upgrade. So now let's get this motherboard out. Okay, to get the motherboard out, we had to put in that torque bit, and let's get this bad boy out. It's all over. Nope, I always miss the one in the middle. So. All right, look at that, comes right out. Let's disconnect. This is the Wi-Fi cable here that went to that card, but it wasn't a card. We'll realize that in a moment. So here's the card. This is the Wi-Fi card that was mounted in there. You typically see these on laptops, but what they did is they just ran a cable, a single cable to it, and then mounted the Wi-Fi in the case as if it was a card, but it was not. It's not where the slots were on the motherboard. You can see these are PCI Express, so that's also a sign that it's a newer model. Let's see if we get this battery out of here. Make it safe so little children do not swallow them. Screws are out. Let's see if I can get this heatsink off of here. That was super easy. Okay. Let's get the hard drive out. Hard drive is 2 of these screws again. And then it slides that way. And again, there's a lever here you have to push down, and then that allows it to slide forward. Otherwise, it will not come out. All right, here's the hard drive. Let's get the screws out of this and see what we can see with the hard drive. Because if they had 12 gig of RAM, I wonder if they increased the hard drive size, but it came with a 1 terabyte, which was a lot in those days. It's still reasonably a lot. Let's see. It is a Hitachi. Hitachi capacity, 1 terabyte. I do not see a date. Oh, July 2010. There we go. And HP product number. So it was original with the computer. Warranty void if label removed, or screws removed. Well, warranty is long gone. Smaller controller card on that. That's kind of interesting. So this was relatively newer technology. So now we have the case with maybe just these. Is there screws there? Yes, there is. There is 1 screw right here. Let's see if that slides. It does. And then these should come right out. Look at that. Now we have a fan. Let's see if the fan used torque bits. It did not. That uses a regular Phillips head. So let's get those out as well here. Only 3 screws holding that in. And there's the case fan. Not too bad. So now we just have these few cables at the top here that were on the reader, the card reader on the front. Does that have a screw in it? No. Does that just pop right out? No. It does not. So I'm just going to cut them. I believe. Will this come out? Oh, there is a screw. Look at that. There is a screw right there that is holding this in. So let's get that out. There we go. So now, look at that. Comes right out. The other screws right here are on this power button. Now, someone did comment about needing a power button. You know, if you need this power button off of this computer, I'd put it in an envelope and send it to you. I don't know what value that would be, as they are. See if I can get it out without breaking it. First, I guess I should say, before I start selling it. There we go. So there's the power button. See if I can get it out. There we go. Power button. Seems like it works. It clicks. If you need this, let me know in the comments. I'll send it to you in an envelope. All right. Case is done. It is empty. What is that? Warning. Hazardous moving parts. Can you all see that? Hazardous moving parts. Keep fingers and other body parts away. Wow, that's scary. Like it's going to chop you up or something. We do have this little Wi-Fi card here. Well, you know what? Let's do that too, just for fun. Takes us back to the torque bit. For some odd reason, they had to mount this in here so good. So yeah, basically this is just an antenna. You would have a black antenna on there and it went right to that card. So there you go, you can see that. That's all that is, but that'll just trash. Nothing there. So this is trash as well. Okay, let's see what we got. Hard drive, power supply, we will play with that. Let's get this processor fan off. And it should, yeah, that's going to go pretty easy. Just have 3 more to go. And then we can get this off of here. Maybe I'll speed through this for y'all. Oh my. That took longer than I expected. Hopefully it didn't take you very long. I should be able to speed through that. But there's our, well, one little twist here yet. Okay, well you can see that processor fan is quite dirty. This is typical of what we would see. Still not the worst by far, but you can see how that would hinder airflow through the from the processor, cooling it off. In fact, let's get a closer look. For those of you that love to see the grossness of things, there you go. It's not totally thick, but it is there. So very little thermal paste on there. It was pretty dry, which is probably why it stuck so hard, or because it was so dried on there. But there you go. So then this should just lift right off, as it does. So that's junk. And there's our heatsink. Okay, we have 2 heatsinks. Let's look at the motherboard. I do not see any bad capacitors. I did mention that motherboards from HP that had this RCA jack on them just had a bad reputation. But I don't see any problems with the motherboard. These are all solid state capacitors, maybe a few regular ones. But that is it on that. Power supply. You know what? I'm not going to open it up. I'm just going to cut the wires off. We've seen inside of power supply before. Or maybe I will open it up. We'll see. There we go. You know what? Let's open it up. Oops. See what that gives us. Oh, there's a few over here. I'm not sure there's a few on the other side. Just one. All right. Let's see if that allows us to open it up here now. Look at that. Wow. All right. Now that's kind of interesting. I think this is the first one we've seen that had this white gunk on there. It is hard. It probably was not always solid like that in its earlier days. It may have been more plious material. But that was to eliminate noise. They put this white stuff in there to keep capacitors. They would make noise. These coils would make noise. And they'd put this stuff on there to keep it quiet. Basically, when building it, they would have it open like this, power it up, and wherever it would make noise, they'd plop that stuff on there until the noise went away. And you can even see they got some way down in there. on those. I don't see any bulging capacitors. So there you go. It's the inside of this power supply. And again, it was a Best Tech. You can see that there. Best Tech 250 watt. Okay, let's put the power supply back together somewhat. And we'll put that aside. Let's get the wires off of this. Again, just for recycling. If you needed this part, I'm sorry. You shouldn't. You shouldn't be using a computer this old. Now that's adapter. I will keep that. I'm a hoarder of things. But there you go. I think that is all she wrote today. We do have this thing there. Again, a multi-card reader, but again, it's old. It probably doesn't work. These did not last real long. If they were used at all, they did not last. Certain ports on it would go out. So we got 2 fans, 2 aluminum heat sinks, 4 sticks of RAM, hard drive. This is just trash. And motherboard, DVD with the light scribe on it, and the power supply. So that is it for the video today. Another fairly quick one. No real surprises other than the dirt on the heatsink was interesting, I suppose. But other than that, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and check out my other videos. Maybe I'll figure out how to put the squares in the video for my other ones. All right. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye now.